see beside me is a 1984 Goldwing that has been heavily customized, and this bike belongs to my father. So in this video we're going to ride it and we're going to talk to him about what he's built. So here it is. This is the Goldwing that is affectionately known as Ruffian, and this is my dad who built it. So Dad, tell me a little bit about this bike. When you bought it, it was completely factory, right?
Yeah, totally stock bike. I looked around Craigslist, eBay for quite a while, probably a year and a half or so, and found this low mileage bike, well maintained, second owner.
From there, well, it became very not factory afterwards. So let's kind of start towards the front and go towards the rear. So this front end, inverted forks, obviously not original to a Goldwing.
No, exactly, and I've never seen another one with inverted forks. This is off of a 2014 CBR 600RR, and I wanted to stay with all Honda parts on this bike. Thought it'd be a great look.
Well, all Honda parts minus a lot of the custom stuff, but
yeah,
at least in terms of the chassis.
Yeah, exactly. The tank, chassis, all the suspension is all Honda. So.
And then, of course, these tires. So you named the bike Ruffian after a racing horse, right?
Yeah, in the mid-'70s, a mare named Ruffian won every single race she ever entered until she broke down and had to be euthanized on the track. But she was just a tremendous horse, and I thought she was 16.2 hands, and so that's the theme of the bike, is homage to the horse Ruffian. I thought it was a cool name.
And then, of course, these tires, they're Pirellis, right? And they didn't come originally with the Ruffian script on them. So how did you do that?
So it's Pirelli, right? It's Pirelli tire, and then there's a company called TireStickers.com, and you design your own letters that you want to put on your tires. They do it for road cars, motorcycles, just about anything. So that's what I did, and you have to glue these on. I had to kind of scuff the sidewall so I'd get a good adhesion, and it makes a good look. Yeah, they look good. They look pretty factory. That went on really well. So continuing with suspension, this is also custom. So from the factory, the Goldwing frame extends further back, and then it's got dual shocks, very old school. Right.
You can see a spot right here where the frame is plugged.
Right. So the frame would extend back and up. This is a lower shock mount here that came up, and of course you had your passenger seat. This area here on the Goldwing is where the fuel tank sits, and then there's a fuel pump over here that pumps it to the carburetors.
Yeah, so originally what looks like the fuel tank on the Goldwing is just a storage compartment. There's no gas up there. Right,
no gas up there. It's a storage compartment. There's like a glove box, and also the fuel fill is towards the back that goes down to that tank. But it also creates space for an air box, an air cleaner that sits underneath here. And I eliminated all of that. This tank is off of I think it was 78 or 79 CB550. Nice clean tank. Thought it would work really well, and it did. I had to do a lot of modification to the tank to get it to flow fuel down to the carbs, and then a huge amount of modification in here. I don't know if you can see this. This is all pieces of metal I welded up, and you can see how the throttle system works, but that was all part of the airbox that I eliminated.
Yeah, basically all the linkage that controls the throttle on the carburetors was built into the airbox, and you wanted to go to pod filters, so you had to build something to house all of that.
Exactly, yeah, because when you go to a real tank up here, you don't have room for the airbox, so what a lot of guys do is they'll cut the airbox up so that the carbs still mount to it, and then they eliminate the filter. These are K&N pod filters, and I definitely want a filter on my bike, so I want to be able to ride it. So
now I finally get to take this bike for a ride. As my dad was walking me around, this was genuinely the first time I've actually seen this bike built up in person, and it sounds good. It's got a good rumble to it. So these are my first impressions of it. I rode this bike when it was completely original, but that was a long time ago, and it's very different now. Something that my dad had to deal with to put both this tank and these forks on here is Pretty limited turning radius, but it's only really an issue, I guess, for low speed maneuvering. All right, first time pulling out onto the road on my dad's very cool, very custom Goldwing. This is a really cool bike, and actually the riding position is better than I would have expected from looking at it. These handlebars have a little bit of a lift to them, so you're not leaned over super far. You've got a decently upright riding position, which you don't usually get from a custom bike that is this low and this custom. But continuing with the rear suspension, so in order to get this more monoshock style, I mean there's dual shocks, but dual monoshocks. Yeah. In order to get this style to work, you had to fabricate your own suspension, and then these are also off.
The CBR 600RR, and I figured one wouldn't be enough, so I went ahead with two. I welded all of this up, fabricated all of this. I've got these L channels here. This is all steel I added because this is the drive shaft, not really made to carry a load. And then I've got another piece on the other side. You know, built these brackets and welded this all up, and it works really well, actually. And one cool thing is that all of these suspension components were taken from a 2014? 2014, yes, a 30-year time span between the original bike and some of the newer technology. Which is just kind of a fun little detail. And then, of course, I really like, so you've got this hoop with lights integrated into it. So here, can you flip the key on and show the turn signals? So there you go. The turn signals are built into the license plate and also into the hoop on the rear. And then driving... And then let me hit the brake for you real quick. Oh yeah, nice. So most hoop light systems are not super visible, but that's actually pretty decent. I'm surprised with how smooth this bike rides. I would have thought that maybe because there's two monoshocks on the back that it would feel a little stiff on the back end, but it's very smooth. The handling is definitely interesting when you change the geometry of the way that everything was meant to be from the factory, of course. Yeah, it just changes the way that the bike handles. I notice as you lean into a corner, a lot of times the forks really want to turn towards the direction that you're leaning, and I've noticed that on a couple other custom bikes. But it's a really fun bike to ride, and I mean, a bike like this again is largely about the look. This bike also has a really interesting display from Moto Gadget on it, so tell me a little bit about this. What does it do? You've got RPMs along the top, speed. Oh, it even tells you the temperature? Yeah, I'm showing temperatures, a temperature sensor. But you can customize the display. What is that? It's MPH. MPH. So it's kind of like a, you know, I don't love this display. It's a little bit like a dot matrix printer, actually. I glance at it sometimes. I don't see what it's saying to me, but it's a quality component. But yeah, you can either set it to metric standard or English, and of course I have it on Fahrenheit and miles per hour. So, but you can tell it to display whatever you want, radiator temperature. It'll even tell you acceleration rates or braking. Really? Yeah. My favorite thing about this bike is just the paint. So you painted this all in your own paint booth, right? Yeah, and you know, as I'm sure most people know, the majority of bikes, black frame, silver motor. That's certainly what this bike was when I bought it. I thought, let's swap that around. So I painted the block gloss black, two-stage gloss clear on top of black base coat. And then everything else is satin. And I thought, you know, I'll go silver with the frame, some of the engine components, muffler, go silver. And yeah, so that's the look I went for. And then this exhaust is pretty cool. I like that it's symmetrical, so you've got dual exhaust. How
Did you find this was a pre-made header and everything?
No, so these are the original pipes, and then they came back and they teed together, and then they had these long straight mufflers, kind of low and going straight back, and so I cut that off, then welded in a pipe that would fit this muffler. That's just a off-the-shelf muffler, and
I like that it follows the angle of the frame, and
yeah.
The bike's also got a pretty good noise. You want to fire it up?
Let's fire her up.
This motor, especially with how stripped down this bike is, I'm sure it weighs a bit less than it used to. Yeah, it's got some push. And wow, this yeah, low speed maneuvering, not this bike's forte. I would not want to take my rider course test on this and do the figure 8. But at the same time, yeah, this bike isn't built to be a practical daily. Woo! So the rear brake system on this bike is also pretty unique, right? Because originally the whole rear brake system goes straight back and it follows the frame.
Exactly, yeah. The master cylinder for the rear sat up here. I cut that piece of frame off and located it down here. So then I had to build this cam that gets your brake pressure turned 90 degrees into the master cylinder. And then the reservoir for it sits actually on the other side.
Yeah, and it's a pretty cool looking reservoir and a nice clean install. And then too, you were mentioning that these are custom brake lines.
Yeah, Van Hill is a company out of England, and they have a great website, and you can specify what color, what angle on your banjo bolts, and even the color of the braided steel lines, how long you want them. It's all DOT approved, so it's good quality lines. And these are actually O-rings, so you can loosen these and get, so you don't have a twist in the line.
Nice.
Yeah, and one other thing I'd like to point out actually is that on the original bike, this rear brake caliper sits way back here. It kind of hangs back there because you had a shock coming up here. So I modified this bracket, moved it forward, gives it a cleaner look in back.
Well, thanks for showing it to us. And you've got a YouTube channel of your own where you post videos on some of your projects.
Yeah,
right?
badbettygarage.com. It's currently under construction. It was up for a while. It's down right now, but hopefully by the time this video hits, it'll be back up.
And then the YouTube channel is also Bad Betty Garage?
Yes, yep.
Cool. So if you want to see more videos on projects like this, and he's had a video out on this bike for a long time, you want to check out what he's doing, check out Bad Betty Garage, and we'll see you guys in the next video.